mental health. In what ways did that Players Tribune article, the first one, help you?
I think more than anything, it just it made me understand that there's such a community out there that is also struggling. And while that's disheartening, it allowed me to, I just immediately felt more comfortable in my own skin. I didn't get into too much detail. I was still able to pull back a layer that I hadn't before and be vulnerable. That was probably the scariest part, but also the part that, took me out of the shadows. Within the first 3 days, we had 6,000 emails. Within the first week, we had over 10. And it's really what it's turned out to be, is something so much bigger than me, but something that I can continue to speak about, hopefully be a face for and move the needle forward. And especially in such an anxiety-ridden time and so much unknown. So part of, a lot of my therapy for me is really, writing things down, whether it be about mental health or otherwise, because I think the range and all of that can help be a major problem solver.
And you touched on some of that in your second article, which I don't know if this was just coincidental or intentional, but came out the week after my interview with Dak Prescott that made
coincidental,
news.
Yeah.
All throughout this quarantine and this off season, I started experiencing emotions I've never felt before. Anxiety for the main one. And then, honestly, a couple of days before my brother passed, I would say I started experiencing depression.
What was it about what Dak said in the interview that resonated with you, because you came out and supported that on social?
Big time. I mean, he's stronger than ever for having done that. For him to do that, especially being in the position he's in, the primary faces of the league, but being America's team, being the quarterback for that. And having said that, there's so many people that look up to him and look at him like a superhero. So for him to, allow himself to grieve and to be vulnerable, that was incredibly powerful, not only for myself to see and to hear that and for what we're trying to do, but just for so many people from every walk of life, from every demographic. That kind of stuff is huge, and he just paid it forward, and I really meant what I said when I said he saved a lot of lives that day.
The Kevin Love Fund, how did the idea come about in the first place?
Knowing that there was a special chance to impact and help people on a really a universal scale. It really was incredible to see how many people even came out in that first week, as I mentioned, with the 10,000 emails and everything that led up to really that third week in September when we announced the fund. We just felt like there was a real chance to take this and make it something special where we could continue to pay it forward and really help people.
Your proudest achievement so far with it would be what?
It's tough. I mean, even in our first 2 years, there's been a lot of things that I'm incredibly proud of. We've started an education pilot that we're getting into schools where they're able to share first-person stories, and we're going to find ways to make that very therapeutic for kids. Also, destigmatizing anything mental health related, making sure that we continue to talk about it so we can not only beat down the stigma, but we can intervene early and then research. Like that's something that I'm so proud of is the Kevin Love Centennial Chair at UCLA in their psych department. We've been able to work with them. It just keeps going on and on. It's really great to see where this is going to head.
And I know a broader goal is touching 1 billion people over the next 5 years, but I'm hoping you can elaborate on a handful of items that I'm going to mention just in terms of goals. The first being increasing grant making.
Yeah, I mean, I think the increase in grant making is that's part of the relationship aspect of it, making sure that we have the resources in order to impact other people and in their endeavors and what they see in their vision, and that's a major component to it as well. It's not just us in the Kevin Love Fund, it's others as well. We're all in this together. Like if it weren't for our relationships that we established early on, we wouldn't have made the leaps and bounds and be where we're at today.
Influence policy?
Influence policy, that's a big one. There's so much, part of my story actually, and I've spoken about it, is Youth Uprise in Parkland, Florida. Like that was part of the reason I decided to write my first article, and seeing the Youth Uprise that came from that after the fact. And then in Oregon, there was a group of kids that went to the state legislature and spoke about, we need these mental health days, every quarter, every semester.
Which some people could think is just a convenient excuse for a day off, but it's actually a real thing, though.
Yeah. Where I'm not actually sick, but in my mind, I need a mental health day. Like I understood that completely. Like people want to look at it and say, well, people are just going to abuse that. But for them to take a day or two or three and cap it out, I think it's only going to allow for more growth and allow them probably to get the best out of themselves moving forward.
How satisfying is it to have found something that truly has the ability to become your legacy?
I mean, for me, it's hard to really conceptualize it right now. I just feel like I'm in it. The legacy component of it isn't something I'm truly thinking about every day. I'm just trying to make as big an impact as I possibly can and make a footprint in this area, because I think more than any other time in human history, we're dealing with it's truly a pandemic that people are starting to talk about, but before this, nobody was really talking about. So it's going to be incredibly paramount and important, this work that we're doing at the fund, but also a number of people have come and done it before us. People will do it after us, but we want to make a major mark.